Ichigo awakens by the lodge. Chapter 7. Asking out. Asking out. Urahara's shop. It was the next day, another day of living in a human life in a world she had no place residing in. However, with her only link to her home of Soul Society being the order she is given, she still had to make do with supplies. Thankfully, the former captain residing in Kurakara seemed to have a consistent supply of necessary materials. Here she saw now leading up on the materials. Okay, will that be all, Kuchiki-san? Urahara asked his current customer, filling her request for form of Soul Reaper equipment and supplies. Not yet, she replied, getting to what she felt was the most curious piece. I need some gikonji for Ichigo, assuming you have yet to give him one. She did have a few complaints about her body, but the former captain did tell her prolonged use might bring up some bugs in the gigai. That was handled a while ago. The eccentric inventor told her, but he doesn't like using him. Why? If he does, he could just slip out of his classes, no problem. If the Hollow shows up during school, he wouldn't even need to worry about his body. His body then. She fished for more information about her stubborn and forced partner's life. All he said about the soul was, he's an annoying, useless pain, he told his customer, trying avoiding telling her about the soul in question. Fine, she responded. I'll get him to tell me then. And she turned to leave before remembering some details from the earlier night. By the way, that boy, Sato said that he was one of Ichigo's training partners, and he had some strange powers. Anything else you'd like to tell me? She glared at the jovial man. Urahara brought out his fan and laughed. Ichigo has some good friends. Let's leave it at that. He remembered that talk with Chad. Even now, he didn't know anything about it, just that it was hollow-based Reishi and power. Everyone involved agreed to keep the nature of his abilities secret for obvious reasons. She had to confront a certain strawberry about certain details. Kurakara High. So that's the end of that, huh? And Kaigo asked Ichigo after they discussed the exorcism of Chad's new bird. Yeah, poor kid didn't have any friends when he was alone. So we filled that void with a day of fun, Ichigo responded, drinking the juice while Mizuri and Chad fed the little bird. They agreed to not relate the real story. The two didn't need to be dragged into the world of ghosts and monsters. Ichigo, they heard someone cheer happily. They turned to see Rukia finally at school, waving at Ichigo and smiling. Hey, look, it's your girlfriend, Ichigo, Mitsuri said casually as the petite Shinigami made her way towards them. What? Keiko cried out. Ichigo, when did that happen? He said, tears comically running down his face as he pleaded to the young Soul Reaper. How could you go around picking up chicks without me? Get me a date too, Ichi. And Kaigo was promptly quieted with a swift punch to his chest as Rukia finally reached her target. What do you need, Rukia? He asked her. I just have another question I need to ask you in private, she said, smiling, acting cutesy to keep up appearances. Ichigo noticed some of the subtle signals she was trying to send to him to recognize that she means Soul Reaper's specific questions. All right, let's go, he said, following her to a private place they could talk. Well, there they go, Mizuru said, relatively unfazed by the sight before him. Ichigo, you traitor! Keiko screamed out. How can you call yourself my friend and not hang with your guys? You train! He was hit with the juice Ichigo had on hand that he threw. I don't think Ichigo can possibly help you get a date, Keiko. He could try, Keiko grumbled from the ground, and Chad was just watching in slight amusement with Ichigo and Rukia. So what is it, Rukia? He asked as they got to an empty area of school. Kuski said that you had an artificial soul already, he said, skipping to the heart of the matter. May I see it? Really? He said, raising an eyebrow. Fine. He reached inside his bag and pulled out a cartoonish yellow-limbed stuffed animal. This is Khan. Kutsky gave him to me when I was 10. He told me how Soul Reapers use Gikugon when they need a quick eject and to keep their cover. Rukia took the stuffed doll from her teammate and inspected it. I didn't like the dispenser, so I tried this instead. By the way, what's with that whole soul candy thing? He asked, confused by that name from so long ago. Ruki adopted an undignified blush, embarrassed by the reason behind the name. The Shinigami's Woman Association didn't like the name Yuki-Kon, said it wasn't cute enough. She didn't like the name either, but she was a representative of her clan. She needed to represent herself as such, and not give Ichigo more reason to think of her. Think of her. Well, he's no, he's no champion. She said, looking the lion in the face, letting her inner girl take over. But he is pretty cute. She caved, hugging the doll to her chest. Your boobs may not be big, but they're really nice too, Rukia. A muffled voice spoke out. Rukia heard it coming from her chest and threw the doll up while screaming. Ichigo stayed calm, reached out and caught the perverted spirit. Nice catch. Shut up, Ichigo growled at his irritating stuffed animal. Ichigo, what the hell is that? She screamed, pointing at the line in his hands. Like I said, this is Khan. He said, like it was the simplest thing. He's my artificial soul. Yo, he greeted with a raised paw. I don't like using him because he's a pervert. I'm worried about what he would do in my body. Ichigo remembered the last time he left Khan in his body. That was a bad time. Now I get your reluctance, Rukia said, finally calming down. She never thought putting a soul in an imitating object would yield results. Why do you keep him then? Because he's useful to have, he told her. When he recognizes a threat, he becomes a decent fighter. I usually leave him with my sisters because they haven't a full grasp on their abilities yet. Ruki remembered when that was an idea Soul Society had, but it was deemed inhuman, and all such souls from that project were destroyed. Just then her phone was going off, signifying new orders. Ichigo! I know, he said, unzipping Khan's back and pulled out a small green pill that he swallowed. The two separated and Khan began stretching in Ichigo's body. Been a while since I was in here, he said. Remember, Khan? Yeah, yeah. Lots of scowls and no flirting or peeping. He dismissed his boss as the two Soul Reapers left to find their targets. Would it kill him to try to live a little? He asked no one in particular. Now let's see. He quickly checked the time. Almost time for the next class. Better get moving. Ichigo's class. Agreed, we'll ask him together, Tusky said as she and Orihime finished their lunch. After warding off a certain red-haired lesbian, the two could coordinate their plans without a hitch. They agreed to share Ichigo and would start with a plan. They would start with a simulation date between the three of them. The date would be at the Don Condonji show coming up at the weekend. They felt this was the chance to make their move. Khan came through the door, and the two friends walked right up to him, prepared to ask when Orihime noticed something. Hey, where's Ichigo? Tatsuki and Khan were surprised by the question. Khan was trying to come up with an explanation, while Tatsuki took a second glance to confirm her ditzy friend's claim. Orihime was surprisingly observing their mutual crush. Yeah, you're not Ichigo. Where is he? Khan pulled them both out of the classroom and into the still empty hall. Okay, first question, Khan said as he got their attention. What makes you think I'm not Ichigo? Tatsuki was glaring at the impostor of her crush when Orihime exclaimed, Why? You seem like a complete and utter waste of a character with no importance or impact to the series, she said with a complete straight face. Khan felt the words stab into him like arrows. Fair enough. Next question, he said after pulling out said arrows. How much do you know about him? I know he's spiritually aware, Orihime said. Are you related to his Soul Reaper stuff? Tatsuki asked, causing the two to gape at her. She shrugged and told them she overheard Yuriichi senpai talking with someone about Ichigo. Well, no use hiding it now. Khan reasoned. Yes, Ichigo is a Soul Reaper. I'm an artificial soul filling in for him while he's doing his job, and he probably won't come back for the rest of the day, he said while sensing another hollow. Damn, Tatsuki cursed. All that motivation wasted. They were really nervous, but were determined to power through it when Ichigo but it wasn't Ichigo in the end. What, were you going to ask Ichigo out? He asked, causing them to blush fiercely and attempt to knife in response. Using some of his enhanced reflexes from his many upgrades, he snatched up the show tickets they had. All, all three together? Khan asked, impressed and pissed at the same time. He may not like Ichigo too much, but he alone practically saved his life and gave him his own to live. Sure, he was the servant of the Kurosakis, but they never made him feel as such. He had a life debt to his master. I'll accept in his stead, he said, grinning while writing one ticket. I owed Hime and Tatsuki one date, and trust me, he smiled and winked. He'll definitely go. The rest of the day passed as such, normal and uneventful, until Ichigo found the ticket. Later that night in Ichigo's room, Khan! He yelled at the stuffed lion sitting on his desk, going over the notes Khan managed to make for him. What's this thing about me owing Orihime and Tatsuki a date? What? You told me to be you, and I thought you would agree, Khan said in his defense. Two hot chicks together at once. What straight man would say no? He said in an overdramatic fashion. A basic soul reaper, that's who, he growled. What's this? Exclaimed Ishin and Yuzu, who hurried in from downstairs. My son has a date with two girls at the same time. Oh, Masaki, my love, our boy is becoming a fine man. Who are your girlfriends, Ichini? Yuzu gazed at her brother. Is it Tatsuki and Orihime? She met Orihime a few times and they got along well. Tatsuki came to the clinic quite a few times when she started Hokuda training. And Karen, Ichigo got a date with two girls. Didn't peg you for a womanizer, Ichini, Karen said. I don't have any dates with, and I'm not a womanizer, Ichigo yelled in his defense. If you don't want it, I'll go, Kan said. You are not going anywhere near them, Ichigo roared at the line. Do you hate them? No, he yelled, insulted. Do you want them to think that? No, he said, more subdued. So you go with them, Kan confirmed. Yes, Ichigo said, feeling defeated in a way. Good, it's official, Kan said with Ishin ending the group chat on Ichigo's phone. It was then that he realized that he could have talked to them and declined the invite gently like a proper man. Khan! He growled, more mad at being tricked than anything else. Relax, I'll probably never do anything ever again and be replaced by a much more interesting character who is way more upbeat than me and would be a great contrast for you. End of chapter 7. Ichigo Awakens by Taloch, Chapter 8, The Date and the Foolish Exorcist. The Date and the Foolish Exorcist, Karakura Hospital, June 17th. 6 years ago, she almost died for him. 6 years ago, he learned about his potential. 6 years ago, he swore to destroy the Quincy King with his own two hands. 6 years since she last opened her eyes. 6 years since he last heard her voice. 6 years since she fell into a dreamless sleep, hanging on to life by a thread. These were the thoughts of two sons in particular, visiting their mothers in a special made room of the hospital. The one day that their teacher would permit them to skip school, if only for that scarce few hours, for the simple pleasure of comfort that they could find, a trace of a smile or a slight grip of the hand, letting the sons know that they are still alive. Anything real than the constant beeps and air blowing of the machines they were connected to. 6 years, Ichigo. What do you say to his cousin? Overlooking his own sleeping mother, the effects of time and atrophy being waylaid by a device Urahara made to keep their bodies active enough while unconscious. Both Kana and Masaki looked virtually the same as when they fell asleep so long ago. Only 2 years left, and we still have this Aizen fellow to be wary of. I know Ryu, he told his cousin. Aizen is after whatever Urahara made, and he claims to have hidden it in a safe place. Chances are Aizen will be a concern before Juhabach, in which case I can hopefully get the help of the Gotai 13. It was a long shot, but they all decided to choose when a ready threat was presented to show the Captain Commander the whole issue. Right. I just think we should step up our training. Uryu was doing his father's training to the letter, but he was yet unable to join Ichigo on the front just yet. Urahara was fixing up new equipment for him to use in order to exercise the hollows instead of outright destroying them. Unfortunately, this was actually a difficult process that Urahara was all too eager to make possible as one of the few real changing challenges he's faced. He had to split his time between training his students and preparing Uryu's upgraded equipment. We can't bring overly unwanted attention to ourselves, Uryu. We're already pushing it as it is. Riki told him that she was reaching the time limit of how long she could be in the living world, and no matter what she told Soul Society, they would come investigate. Best to prolong that as much as possible. Let's keep as we are, and until necessary. That's time, boys. They heard a stern voice tell them. They turned back to see their fathers, Rekin and Ishin, waiting for them. You two should get to school, Ishin said as he walked into the room. And Uryu, Rukin said, catching his son before he left. I'll push you when you are ready, he assured his son, letting him know he should have more faith in his father and allies as well as himself. Understood, he said before the cousins left to attend their final classes. So I hear you have a date? Or is it dates? He said, trying to put up the image of an average teen in spite of reality and his own apathy. I think it counts as dates, Ichigo groaned, still somewhat annoyed that he was forced into this situation. He had nothing against Orihime or Tatsuki, but he would prefer to face them personally. This would give a blow to his image, but he also couldn't afford any distractions from when the battle came. As such, he confronted them again and accepted the date like a man and of his own volition. He just wished that it wasn't to some hack spiritualist medium. He also hoped that his teachers won't find out, but he was a realist in that regard, as if his dad clamoring for his new daughters and grandkids wasn't enough. Urahara Shoten, Ichigo, cried his dark-skinned martial arts teacher master. Why, I thought we raised you better than this. You should have 5 girlfriends at least. He was doing everything he could to ignore Yoruichi, while Tessai was finally teaching him the 90-plus level Bakudo spells. Now, no, Yoruichi, we can only teach him so much. Urahara tried to calm his old friend. Ichigo is still just an innocent kid. We can't expect him to be an instant playboy. He whipped out his fan. But he is well on his way to that, isn't he? The two friends laughed as Ichigo felt an incantation, distracted by his teacher's antics. Well, I could give that final push, the mischievous cat said as she pulled her student hands to her breast. What do you say, Ichigo? She sang seductively into his ear. Shall I teach you the pleasures of a woman? This time, the spell exploded and pinned Ichigo's hand in place while tying everyone else up. Tessai growled. Ichigo, you can't allow distractions to affect you like this. He scolded his student as they freed themselves from the botched Bakudo. Maybe you should sleep with Yoruichi, if only to help your concentration. He suggested casually, making Ichigo turn redder than his namesake. I'm in, she cheered, already starting to peel off her top while Kisuki went to get a camera. Don't I get a say in this? Ichigo cried, backing out of the store slowly. Never. I called on your first time a while ago, she yelled, looking at him hungrily. What purpose does this serve? Ichigo asked. Stupid slapstick, Kisuki said while he set up the camera, with Tessai holding a reflector board, with Jinta and Uryu behind Ichigo with rope and tape. Fortunately, Ichigo was prepared. Bakudo 21, Zenkento, he yelled while pushing off the ground and into the vacant lot, shielded in a massive cloud of red smoke. Get back here, Yuichi yelled as she managed to find and tackle her quarry, only to see him fade. She was positive she managed to grab him, but it turned out to be an illusion. She wasn't sure whether to feel pride or annoyed. He was progressing splendidly, but it was rare for anything to escape her. Nice job, Ichigo, she complimented, but that certainly wasn't the Utsu Semi, so how did you do that? Kurosaki Clinic. What did you do to yourself, Ichini? Yuzu cried while applying her healing keto with Rukia's to heal her brother's legs. I pushed myself too hard with an experimental move. It was a mix of his healing Kaiyo with Shunpo and that skills his hollow strength Sengatsu called Sonido. The result was an overexerted body with most of his muscles torn from the pressure and friction. He almost fully recovered from the attempt and could get back to the important matters, his upcoming date. This is your first date, Ichini. You need to impress, stated Yuzu firmly as herself. Kaden and Rukia rummaged through his clothes to find a proper outfit. He's going to watch a hack. He can go normal, Kaden retorted, knowing that Katsuki wouldn't really care. And you're here because? He asked Rukia, who proceeded to put chappy bunny ears on him. For my own entertainment, Ichigo responded by throwing her out of his room, and his sisters ended up with getting Ichigo a casual get-up after a few arguments. Remember, Ichini, you have to join the fun to enjoy it. Juzu told her stubborn brother before crossing her arms over her chest and laughing. Bahaha! Ichigo looked over at Karen for help, but she could only shrug. Now you. No. Ichigo, it's your responsibility to make sure they enjoy it, she scolded, pointing at her older brother. We also want you to have fun too, Ichi, Karen said, sitting next to her brother. You should take some time off, relax. We just want to see you happy. She leaned against him while Yuzu was giving him puppy eyes. Ichigo sighed in annoyance that he made his little sisters worry so much, gesturing Yuzu to get closer before wrapping his arms around the twins. Fine, I'll take it easy and have fun, you two. He reassured his sisters. I'm supposed to worry about you two, not the other way around, he said, making the siblings giggle as they fell asleep in his comfortable embrace. Karakura's abandoned hospital that weekend. The place was filled with people, either to see the show or setting it up for the live broadcast. Ichigo found out that Orihime and Tatsuki knew about him being a Soul Reaper and what his training was for. They were now using this time to talk about whether the show had any validity to its name, Ghostbust. So, is there really a spirit here? Orihime asked, eating some candy they brought from Urahara's shop where they met. Feels like it, Ichigo said, feeling a familiar malice that was born from a hollow, probably an earthbound spirit, on one that's tied to a particular location. One of the stage crew got too close to the old building, and angry screams filled the air, surprising Ichigo's date but not himself. You can't tell until someone trespasses, though. Orihime and Tatsuki were suddenly more glad that Ichigo decided to come, latching onto him for a sense of security and warmth. Don't worry, he's not a hollow. Not yet, he thought, looking at the man wrapped in chains. The hole in his chest almost opened, his cries of greed gaining no sympathy from the young Soul Reaper. Listen up, everyone! The broadcast had begun, hyping most everyone up for the show proper to begin. Here he is, the spirit medium of the new century, the messenger of hell, Don Kanonji! He yelled, bringing everyone's attention to the helicopter the supposed spiritualist jumped out of. The spirits are always with you. He cheered, free falling before using his parachute. The crowd roared in approval, while a scant few who could truly see the spirit remained silent. Urahara and Yuruichi silently came up behind their disciple to soothe the worries he might be having. Don't worry, Ichigo, he said as carefree as ever, bringing the trio's attention to the exiled Soul Reapers. It takes a long time to become a hollow and on one's own. I'd give him another 6 months tops, he told Ichigo, making the substitute feel somewhat better, until Hime asked a very good question. Urahara-san, is he supposed to be doing that? She asked, worryingly pointing at Don Kanonji, who was stabbing his staff into the demi-hollow's chest, trying to force it open. All the experienced, spiritually aware beings present let out a sigh of annoyance. No, Inoue-san, he replied before pushing Ichigo back with his cane, ejecting his student soul. No, he is not. Ichigo wasted no time rushing over to stop the man from making a terrible mistake. Maybe you should go to an arcade next time, the shopkeeper suggested. Yeah, the girls agreed. Ichigo made it between the demi-hollow and the tan-skinned spiritualist and managed to throw them apart, surprising the audience. What's this? The announcer cried out. Don Kanonji was thrown back. What kind of spirit is this? Hey, the shaded man yelled out. What's the big idea? You're just a ghost. He was surprised. This had never happened to him before. All the spirits he exorcised before were all chained down, but this one was free of those chains. So you actually can see spirits, Ichigo said to the man, tan-skinned, fanning dreads, rather thin mustache, and he dressed like a dorky superhero but without the spandex. Of course I can, he retorted. I'm the premier specialist of the new century. Then he came to a rather absurd conclusion of Ichigo being a fan despite being dead, while the Soul Reaper chose to focus on the turning hollow. Unfortunately, he was too late. The damage was already done as the earthbound soul exploded. Don Kanonji announced his success. Ichigo kept on the lookout for when the hollow appeared. Not of the woods yet, Kanonji, Ichigo told the fox exorcist, grabbing his attention before pulling to the roof of the building. The hollow appeared as a humanoid frog of a sickly green color. With Tatsuki and Orihime. Yoruichi-sensei, Tatsuki asked her teacher, feeling a hollow's dark energy for the first time of her life. Ichigo will be alright, right? Yoruichi looked down on her other disciple before breaking out a confident grin. Don't worry, Tatsuki, she said, wrapping an arm around the young girl's shoulders. A hollow like that is nothing for Ichigo. Have more faith like your friend here. Tatsuki looked over to Orihime and saw fear and unease, but not concern. Orihime could feel Ichigo would be alright. She was so embarrassed that she should have known Ichigo better than that. She watched her future boyfriend with renewed confidence and felt gutsy enough to cheer him on. Yeah, kick that monster's ass, she yelled out, giving Orihime confidence to do the same. Go, win, Orihime squealed. With Ichigo. The cheers of the fans give me strength to purge this evil before me. Kanonji yelled out proudly, causing more cheers as the hollow descended. Ichigo could only smirk as he heard his friends and family cheer for him instead. The hollow was swiftly descending on the two with Kanonji bravely challenging the monster while Ichigo stood off to the side a little, waiting for a chance. When the hollow came close enough to snap the foolish human in his jaws, Ichigo then delivered a spinning kick into the hollow's back. The result was a gaping hole in the building with Ichigo nailing his landing. Let me guess. Kanonji looked at the boy in amazement at his display of strength. You're not going to run no matter what I say, are you? The man looked at Ichigo in shock and disgust. Run? How can I run? Do you know what my ratings are here? He said, loud enough for everyone to hear. One in every four households watch my show, and most of those viewers are children. A silence washed over the crowd as they listened. That means I have to be brave. I have to show courage. I have to be a good role model. He lost his showman attitude and felt more like a person rather than a celebrity to the audience at that moment. Sure, I get scared of finding the dark and malicious spirits like these, but if I run, what would that tell the kids? That there is no hope? I can't allow something like that. There was a pause of silence before the crowd roared in approval, seeing Don Konoji in another, better light, more than just a fun program, but as someone who tries to bring smiles no matter what, because it's right to do. That means your only fault here is ignorance. Ichigo said, keeping the exorcist's attention while the hollow made its way back to them. How to one, show. He pointed at the mindless hungry beast and shot a pulse of force at the creature, sending him to the back of the hospital again, and collapsing the front gate in the process. Really need to work on that. Come on, there's something you need to see, he told the spiritualist as he blasted the rubble away with another show. Very well, he said, recognizing that whatever this boy was going to show him was for his eyes only. They entered the abandoned, decrepit hospital, searching for the monster that was their prey. Ichigo unsheathed his zanpakuto and took a few experimental swings. Damn, it's too cramped in here, he realized before gripping Zangetsu with both hands. I guess now's as good a time as any. His blade began to glow as he started to focus on his Ryutsu and blade. Everything all right, partner? Kanonji asked, feeling camaraderie with the youth. He gaped in amazement as Ichigo managed to turn his massive blade into a pair of katana, one in each hand. He twirled the blades in hand to get a feel for the new style he put upon himself. Amazing. What is this, boy? He could only think to himself as his world began to expand with every moment he was with Ichigo. He's coming. Ichigo yelled as the wall burst out with the hollow charging at them. Kanonji closed in and caught the hollow's mouth open with his staff. Ichigo quickly got into its space and made two swift slashes, severing the hollow's limbs. The monster roared out in agony as it collapsed, having no support to keep it upright. The beast lay before the two, helpless as Ichigo made the final blow through the hollow's mask, ending its cries and struggles. Great job, partner. Kanonji cheered, celebrating what he felt was a hard-won victory. Ichigo did not allow for this man to live in his ignorance anymore. Don't celebrate, Kanonji, Ichigo said, pointing at the disintegrated hollow, the form of the monster dissipating, revealing the broken man inside. Wait, the exorcist said brokenly. He was stunned, feeling everything he thought he knew crumbling around him. Hollows, Ichigo said. Corrupted souls of those that lost their hearts, had their chains that kept them peaceful removed. Kanonji gasped in shock, remembering every time he believed he purified a lost or bad spirit, breaking chains he thought were their torment. He's made monsters out of innocence. What I have been doing, he asked, not to Ichigo but to himself, tears flowing from his eyes as his unintentional crimes came down on his shoulders. You've been acting out of ignorance, Ichigo said, making the near-broken man look back at the true exorcist. I don't blame you for your actions. You never knew nor had a chance to know. You wanted to be a hero, so you became one. How can I still be a hero? He demanded. How can I possibly call myself that now? Ichigo shrugged and brought them both back to the cheering crowd, hailing their hero, Don Kanonji. I say keep doing what you've been doing. Ichigo snatched a pen and paper and began to write. Only now, you do it right. He gave the spiritualist the note with his crooked teacher's address. Go to this man before attempting anything like this again. He'll help you on your road of redemption. He gave the man one last smile before disappearing in a burst of speed back to his own body. Kanonji looked down at his note and felt himself change into a new man. Wahahaha! He laughed out, cherishing the crowd's roars of approval. Thank you, boy, he thought while announcing his full triumph. You've shown me what I really need to do. I won't let you down. My friend, a few days later, you still put too much energy into it, scolded Tessa as Ichigo finished up his training with the Kido Masters. I almost shudder to think what might happen if you go all out. He's right, Ichigo. Kiski drawled as he rose from his nap. You want to make allies of the Soul Reapers, not kill them. You need to be able to hold back more. The building stayed up, didn't it? Ichigo shot back at his teachers, referencing the band in the hospital from earlier. No, it collapsed after Tessai and I stopped keeping it upright. The resulting shock waves from his Hado did so much structural damage, the building was going to fall apart with him inside. Ryukin was quick to purchase the land and start another project there. Anyway, don't you have another date with Arisawa-san and Onyo-san? Kiski teased as Ichigo ran out the door, passing a man in a trench coat who entered the store. Kiski smiled at who would become another regular at his store. So, how can I help you, Don Kanonji? End of chapter 8.